Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events shaping our world. We have a lot to cover, so let's get straight into it. In a significant development, President Trump has met with two key international leaders, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in separate meetings at the White House. These discussions come at a critical time, given the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Iran. President Trump's meeting with President Zelenskyy focused on the production of Patriot missile interceptors, which are crucial for Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression. The two leaders also touched on diplomacy and the need to revitalize the diplomatic process. According to President Zelenskyy, the meeting was productive and they discussed various ideas that could help advance peace in the region. The meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu was his first face-to-face encounter with President Trump since the start of the Iran war. While details of their discussion are scarce, it's known that President Trump has been urging Israel to adopt a softer approach, particularly with regards to Lebanon. This comes after reports suggested that Prime Minister Netanyahu planned to discuss information related to an underground nuclear site in Iran. It's worth noting that President Trump's relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu has been under scrutiny lately, with some observers suggesting that the U.S. leader is putting distance between himself and the Israeli Prime Minister. Despite this, President Trump has consistently expressed support for Israel's security concerns. As we continue to monitor these developments, it's essential to consider the complexities of international diplomacy and the delicate balance of power in the region. We'll be keeping a close eye on how these meetings impact the ongoing conflicts and the broader geopolitical landscape. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into our middle segment today, where we'll be discussing the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. As we explore this complex issue, it's essential to acknowledge the severity of the situation and the impact it has on civilians. According to recent reports, the number of attacks on civilian infrastructure is rising, with former Ukrainian Minister Dmytro Kuleba warning that a total economic war is beginning. This escalation has led to significant disruptions in daily life, including shortages of goods and increased prices. The destruction of ports and logistics hubs has also effectively ceased exports, leaving many to wonder what the future holds. It's crucial to consider the perspectives of both sides and the international community as we navigate this delicate situation. Ukrainian officials, such as President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, have called for face-to-face talks with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, hoping to find a resolution to the conflict. However, Putin has expressed skepticism about such meetings, leaving many to question whether a peaceful resolution is achievable. As we examine the situation on the ground, it's clear that the conflict is having a devastating impact on civilians. The number of civilian deaths in July has reached its highest level since April 2022, with fierce fighting underway in various regions. The destruction of critical infrastructure, including petrol stations and energy facilities, has further exacerbated the humanitarian crisis. As we strive to provide a balanced understanding of this complex issue, it's essential to acknowledge the nuances and complexities involved. We must consider the historical context, geopolitical implications, and the human cost of the conflict. By doing so, we can work towards a deeper understanding of the situation and potential paths forward. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a look at the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, a prominent figure in American politics. The South Carolina senator died earlier this month at the age of 71, leaving behind a legacy that spans over 3 decades in Congress. Leaders from across the political spectrum gathered in Washington to pay their final tributes to Graham, with many remembering him as a friend, a congressional mainstay, and a leading voice in U.S. foreign policy. At a ceremony in the Capitol Rotunda, Senate Majority Leader John Thune highlighted Graham's work on judicial confirmations, his defense of Ukraine, and his support for the anti-abortion movement. Graham was also remembered for his ability to build personal relationships with those who disagreed with him, including his colleagues on both sides of the aisle. His commitment to the armed forces was also noted, having served in the U.S. military for over 3 decades, including as an Air Force judge advocate. President Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy were among those who attended a funeral service for Graham at Washington National Cathedral. The service marked the end of 2 days of remembrances for the late senator, whose remains will be flown back to South Carolina for a final farewell. As we reflect on Senator Graham's life and legacy, it's clear that his impact on American politics will be felt for years to come. While opinions about his policies and actions may vary, there's no denying the significant role he played in shaping the country's foreign policy and judicial landscape. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.